I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, June the 17th, brought to you in part by Y-Tex Tags. Optimism out of nowhere. I cannot understand why the board is so supportive and everybody's moods are so good about this market going in here. And I don't want to be a downer, guys. I never want to do that. I always want to arm you guys with as much information about what's going on, all about the different areas in your major production areas, so you can make the best decisions, so you can be as profitable as possible. I know you guys have been busy branding calves, you guys have been busy turning out summer yearlings, guys are busy putting hay up. I just want to give you as much information as I can. The reason I'm telling you this, and I'm going to go on to talk about this, is I think if you've got cattle to sell this summer, you might want to look into getting those cattle protected through hedging, through contracting. If you've got them consigned to a video auction or a board sale, you might want to take it instead of just appraising the cattle. Now I think that maybe if you've got calves to sell this fall, we might see a little bright spot in the fall. When we get into the sure enough fall. I don't mean August and September. I mean getting into October, November. I think we could see a little relief on the calves, and when the good calves start coming to town, the big strings of ranch calves, I think we could start seeing the market turning around and things getting more positive there. But I tell you what, we've got a long, hot summer to get through here, guys. It is getting extremely dry. We're in a drought down here in the Texas Panhandle. Actually, you get in western Oklahoma. I had a sale over in western Oklahoma over the weekend, and they think they're dry, but they look so much better than we do here in the Amarillo area that there's no comparison. Looks like a paradise over there. But you go across west into the New Mexico, it is about as bad as you've ever seen it. Southern Colorado, it's terrible. And if they don't get some rain here in the next couple, 3 weeks, I tell you what, it's just going to be a disaster. We've had wildfires out here. There's no way to get them stopped. The wind blows 30, 40, 50 mile an hour every day, and it's in the 90s every day with no humidity, which is nice if you're out in it. But I tell you what, it is a tinderbox out here. But that's not causing the down market necessarily. What is all these backed up cattle we've got. And it's frustrating for those of us that can see what's going on, but your fundamentals do not back the support we're seeing on the board or the support we're seeing for either your fat cattle market currently or even your yearling market. It doesn't support that right now. If we had not ever heard the word COVID, if we didn't know anything about this Wuhan flu or anything, if we'd never heard about anything of it, we probably would be selling yearling feeder cattle at about the same level as we are right now, and selling fat cattle at about the same level as we are right now, and dreading the long hot summer. And we backed up all these cattle. I don't know how many cattle you want to think that we backed up. We keep seeing reports coming out saying, oh, it's not that bad, it's not that bad. I have guys send me messages, oh, I talked to a feedlot that's current. Okay, one feedlot that's current. There's places that are backed up big time. Your cattle slaughter year to date is down 6.4%. Nearly 1 million head. That's your cattle slaughter. Okay, we were expecting to have more market ready cattle this year than we had last year. So where did all those cattle go? They're still there, guys. They're still there. In comparison, I told you your cattle slaughter is down 6.4%. Your hog slaughter is only down 1%. So we're way backed up here. Beef production, I know we've had heavier weights, so we're making more beef, but beef production is down 4%. Your pork production is only down 0.2%. So, we are backed up. People can say what they want. Hey, I talked to somebody that doesn't have many big heavy cattle around. Okay, fine. But there's a lot of them that do. And a lot of them are kind of keeping their mouths shut about it. A lot of these corporate feed yards, these formula partners that your packers have had, they're in the worst shape of anybody. They've got big time cattle out there. Are we gaining any ground yet? No. Is our slaughter back to normal? Yes. But we've got to start slaughtering more cattle than normal, more cattle than a year ago to ever start catching up. And we're not catching up yet. Last week we got close. This week we're going to get even closer, but we'll still not catch up. We can't catch up until we start processing more cattle than a year ago, because we know that we already have more cattle going to be hitting the show list. We were already expecting all-time record third quarter beef production, or that's what we're expecting now. We were already expecting it to be bigger than last year, but now all-time record third quarter beef production is what we're expecting, because we got a lot of cattle. They weigh a lot. They're making a lot of tonnage. We're not catching up, you know. There may be at some point where there are these big hippopotamuses out there that are weighing 1,800 pounds start succumbing to the heat, and if we can keep slaughter close, at that point we might start catching up. But we're not catching up, guys. So we need to keep our ears open and keep our eyes open. And this yearling market is pretty darn good. The fat cattle market has fallen a ton, and everything keeps staying optimistic. You know, we were selling cattle at $1.20 2 weeks ago, guys, and now we're selling cattle. Our top price this week is $1.05. So we've lost $15 live in 2 weeks, and everybody thinks it's just great because we're coming out of the coronavirus. That is great, but you still got to look at the fundamentals. Our weighted average 2 weeks ago in the 5-area feeding region on live steers was 115.71. Last week it was 104.47. It's going to be lower than that this week already. We're knowing that. So just keep your eyes open. If you get an opportunity to sell your yearlings that are turned out there, you might want to take it. If you got somebody that wants to contract those, if you can live with hedging those cattle where the board's at now, let's do it. Your feeder buyers are pretty active, and they're buying the yearlings that are for sale right now, and they're hedging them off of a December board that's up there over $1. But there's no right for it to stay up there anymore. Now, I will say that our placements were low enough during the worst of the COVID that if we do start catching up on all these backed up cattle, we could start seeing a little bit of relief by late this year, working deep into the fall. Now, I think we've likely backfilled a lot of that hole already with heavier weights and moving cattle back, but we could start seeing some relief in there. Some other positive things that are out there is we've got confirmation that DOJ is out there working their investigations. Now, we had a little uprising there last week with Charles Grassley. He was pretty outspoken in saying, where's the investigation we asked for nearly a year ago on the PNS on the Holcomb fire there at the Tyson plant, at the Finney County plant there? Where's the results of that investigation? Supposedly there's PNS agents still asleep in their government car underneath a tree at a roadside park there on Highway 54 in Kansas. They headed over there and got tired. DOJ is doing something. They're coming in there. Those guys got badges and guns. They're coming into these packing plants. They're asking hard questions. They're wanting to see hard proof. They're going to look this deal over. And those guys will find something. So is that going to be a positive or a negative for the market? We don't know. We don't know if your packers get fined big time. They're no longer going to try to put their best face forward anymore. And they've already backed off that. We've seen that a bunch here in the last couple of weeks. They may not come out and want to continue to give these charity bids and everything. They may be under the spotlight then, but if they got their hands slapped, they might back off of it. Who knows what's going to happen? We can't seem to get any of these things passed or get a big enough push behind them to get anything passed that we're working on, like minimum negotiated cash trade. your 50-14. We'd like to see that worked. If that won't work, we'd like to see it negotiated down to 30-14 and push it through there. We'd like to see something done. We're not seeing anything done yet. But the investigations are going on, and we have, the word travels fast, about like in an old lady's beauty shop, out in the cattle industry. Everybody knows how to text and things like that. We're finding out that there is things going on, and they're not just picking around the edges. They're coming into the big offices. They're asking hard questions on the executives. Something might be found out, but that doesn't mean that they're going to come out with sweetheart bids and we're going to start moving a lot of these cattle yet. They're likely not going to be real happy about it. So we've got a lot of things going on there. These packers may have gotten too cute during this pandemic, during the gouging that they put on during the crisis there. We've thought they did that during the plant fire last summer. That got everybody good and pissed off. But whenever they did it during the pandemic, during the crisis, I think they likely got too cute. We are seeing a lot of small packing plants being talked about, being in the plans. I know of a few here in Texas that are in the planning stages right now. They're getting financing right now. Some of them have already broken ground. Some of them are taking old plants and starting to refurbish them. I heard a story on Tuesday night here that Republic Foods is the name of the plant there on the east side of Kansas City. You remember that Lone Jack plant that was previously called Valley Oaks? That is a new modern plant. That Valley Oaks outfit was trying to do things in the very best way, in the way that we need to get things done. They were buying top quality feeder cattle off the local market from local producers. They were feeding them there in their facilities and doing it right. And then they were plucking those cattle when they were at their best point, when they were at their ripest, and then delivering that fresh, top quality meat there locally to your restaurants and some retail outlets there. But the Valley Oaks deal, it was too close to a botanical gardens, and people there had political ties, and basically Claire McCaskill shut them down. Claire McCaskill come in and shut them down. And it was a crying shame. It was a first-class facility there, ran by good people, and it was something that was the very, very thing that we needed. Well, they got shut down there a year or so ago, but they've got a new owner there. They're calling it Republic Foods. They're not feeding cattle there on site anymore, and that's what's kind of letting them get away with this. But they are processing cattle, but mainly processing cows. Because the ground beef is where it's at right now. So that's what they're doing right now. But also talking in Missouri. Missouri legislature has slated $20 million to help some packing plants get going in that state for 2021. I've heard of a couple of more packing plants that are in the planning stages right now for Missouri. Likely there's other states in there too. You guys have heard about them too. But those guys are going to start to pick around the edges on these packers. I tell you what, they really got bold and cute then whenever they really started gouging there and just acting like nothing was wrong. Well, what's the deal? Cutout values, just skyrocketing, $4.78 a pound for choice cuts, when before the pandemic started it was under $2.10. Come on. They just got too cute, too greedy, and I hope they suffer for it. I really do. And I hope some of them go to jail, and I hope they get big fines and penalties over the deal. And you guys should too. Let's talk about your markets on Tuesday there. Your board June live cattle futures up a quarter at 96.32. August up 77 cents at 96.77. You going out from there on your live cattle up $1 to $1.22. August feeder cattle up 170. Where's all this confidence coming from? Our packing plants are backed up with big heavy cattle. They've scooted them and crammed them to one end and made an empty pen or two. Likely your farmer feeders are offering most of the pen space here, as they've got done early planting their corn and beans, so they're going to fill their pens, but they've only got a pen or two behind the barn. They don't have a big feedlot. When we start filling up these feedlot pens here that are already backed up, once they get full, then we're going to be in the same shape that we were in here several months ago. But August feeder cattle up $1.70, 132.87. September up 187 at 134.45. And you go on out from there, and they were up $1.90 to 230. So, like I say, guys, if you've got yearlings out there, you might want to hedge those yearlings, or if you can get them contracted, or if you got them consigned to a video sale or something, think seriously about going ahead and selling them on this tall grass special, maybe on the big bang sale for primetime livestock video. Don't be sitting here in late July, August, and September after a long hot summer and thinking, what happened? Because I tell you what, it's a lot more likely that this thing is going to fall on its face than it is jump. Because, it feels like we're pretty top heavy right now. Your fat cattle trade, we had more cattle trade on Tuesday, probably the biggest day we've seen, although the southern plains didn't trade, but in the Midwest, probably the biggest day we'll see this week. Iowa, 7,600 head, only $1 to $1.02. There's no more of that $1.12, $15, $20 anymore. $1 to $1.02 live in Iowa. 157 to 160 dressed. No more 185, 187. 157 to 160. Nebraska, 7,100 head. All the live sales that were quoted from Nebraska at $1. Okay? This thing is falling flat, and everybody is still hunky-dory on the market here. Your dress sales in Nebraska, 157 to 160 also. Kansas had no trade. Texas, about 500 head at $1. So, we're likely going to see some sales here within maybe this week, for sure the next week or two, that are going to be sub $1, and then it might be a long time before we see $1 again. And that just puts us into thinking that we're on hard times when our fat cattle don't bring $1 a pound. Box beef cutout values were down, but they're starting to wane off a little bit, starting to find a little bit of footing, continuing to move big volume. But choice cuts Tuesday afternoon, 227.89, down 72 cents. Selects 213.17, down $1.18. Another big movement, daily movement of 187 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. They've been filling the pipeline, guys. They're getting their coffers full. They're going to make sure they have plenty of product there for Father's Day, for 4th of July, leading up to Labor Day there. They're going to make sure they've got plenty of it, because what it's priced at right now compared to where it was a month ago, it looks awful cheap, but they want, and these menus have been changed. If you guys have been out during this COVID, as it's starting to relax, you notice they've got, in these steakhouses, they've got new menus, okay? Your local steakhouse where you went and got your $17 steak, that steak is now $28 or $32. And they're likely not to back those off anytime soon. But they're filling the pipeline with meat. They're going to get their coffers full. That meat keeps for a long time. It's all cryovac. It's in their freezers there. They've got those insured. Your packers are going to fill up their cold storage there with the meat, and then likely by the time we get to the heat of the summer, the dog days, you know what it's like in late July and August. It's too damn hot to go outside and fire up your grill. Nobody wants to do that. You're going to eat a BLT with fresh tomatoes and extra mayonnaise and an ear of corn or two. But that's what you're going to eat. That happens every year, and guys are going to start backing off of them. And for sure they're going to back off the steak grilling, and that is going to take these box beef cutout values down big time, and your fat cattle are going to continue to go down, especially when you start looking into these huge cattle. But you look at your slaughter, 119 on your estimated kill for Tuesday, 119,000. That's very, very good, but still not quite as good as a year ago the same day. But through Tuesday for the week, 238,000. That's 4,000 more than last week. Still 4,000 less than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DV auction, 127.88. Down 93 cents on the sales that we had on Tuesday, so they were a little bit lower, even though the board was higher on feeder cattle. But I think people are starting to look around a little bit. But also, you notice on this RTI that your weights were up, your average weights. It's your 7 to 899 pound steers, but your weights were bigger, so that accounts for a lot of that loss on the 93 cents there. It was up 6 pounds. Because the previous day averaged right at 800 pounds, and on Monday or on Tuesday it was 6 pounds heavier. But you think that real-time index doesn't do a good job predicting what your CME cash feeder cattle index is? The latest available on CME was 128.78. Today's RTI is 127.88, and so after you see probably a loss on your sales that the government reports on Tuesday, it'll be right back in there where your market is before. But that CME quote is for Monday, and if you put that dollar back on what we had on Tuesday, that would be right in there tight. But let's talk about your big sales on Tuesday. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, 3,700 head there in West Plains, Missouri. Feeders, $2 to $7 higher than the thin test that they had a week ago. Calves were steady to $5 lower because it's getting hot, guys. They had video sales there, which doesn't happen very often, but they had video sales there at West Plains, Missouri. My buddy Dan Hill reported the market there and included them. He does a bang-up job. He had a hell of a trainer there. Video sales included 2 loads of heifers weighing 860 pounds. Or 2 loads of steers, weighed 860 at 126.50. That would be for immediate delivery. 8 loads of heifers weighed 850 pounds there. They said out of state, likely down in Arkansas, but 8 loads of 850 pound heifers, 112.85. But the top quote through the ring at Ozarks Regional Stockyards, 60 head, 883 pound steers, 130.5. How about Unionville Livestock Market up in the extreme north central part of Missouri? Friends at Rock and R Farms there in Lucerne, Missouri, they had 6 loads of big yearlings in there. 6 loads of them. They averaged 928 pounds and about $126.85 a hundred there. That's a pretty good sale on those. Look at Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma. That is no man's land, guys. Out in the middle of nowhere there, and we picked these markets up here, feeding automatically through Cattle Market Central, and it's just unbelievable. Look at the loads of yearling feeder steers at Beaver County Stockyards, including 3 loads of these big yearling feeder steers weighing over 1,000 pounds, and they bring from 114 to 115.85. Pretty dang impressive. But the best quotes I saw, Fredonia, Kansas there, Brad Hahn, my buddy, he put 162 head in one whack through the ring there at Fredonia. They weighed 874 pounds and bring 126.75. And then the top quote was 65 head, 844 pounders at 131.10. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.